The moon hung like a ghostly lantern. Its pale light struggled to penetrate the dense canopy of the Amazon. The jungle stood, a wall of emerald, hiding secrets older than time. The air hung heavy and damp, thick with the scent of decay and unknown blooms. Below the endless boughs, a different kind of life moved. 10 souls, refugees of a forgotten war, picked their way through the undergrowth. Their faces, etched with exhaustion and fear, were barely visible in the gloom. They moved like ghosts, their ragged clothing snagged on thorns, their eyes darting at every rustle and sigh of the wind. They were led by hope, a whisper that sanctuary lay beyond the green hell. They didn't speak. To do so felt like inviting the jungle's attention, like offering themselves to the unseen eyes that watched from the darkness. They walked, each step a prayer, a plea for survival in a world that had already taken so much. But the jungle, ancient and indifferent, cared nothing for prayers. It had its own rhythms, its own hunger, and tonight it was listening. Leading the way was Miguel, his face a grimace of determination. His hand clutched a crude machete, his knuckles white with tension. Behind him trailed his wife, Elena, her eyes filled with a haunted look. She clutched a small bundle to her chest, a flicker of warmth in the cold embrace of the jungle. There was young Raphael, barely a man, his face pale and drawn. He stumbled along, his breath catching in his throat, his eyes wide with terror. Beside him walked old Emilia, her face a roadmap of wrinkles, her lips moving in silent prayer. Each one of the 10 carried their own burdens, their own memories of the horrors they had left behind. They were a tapestry of despair, woven together by fear and the desperate hope of finding a new beginning. But the jungle, a silent, watchful predator, had already marked them. It had tasted their fear, and it found it intoxicating. The air grew thicker, the scent of decay stronger. The jungle seemed to press in, a living entity closing its jaws around them. Vines, thick as pythons, hung from the canopy, reaching down like grasping claws. Strange insects buzzed, their luminescent eyes glowing like malevolent stars in the darkness. The refugees huddled closer, their fear a palpable thing. The jungle felt different now, no longer a path to salvation, but a labyrinth designed to trap them. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig sent shivers down their spines. They were intruders in a sacred space, and the jungle was making them aware of their transgression. The ground grew soft and spongy, sucking at their feet. The air hummed with the drone of unseen creatures. The jungle had teeth, and it was starting to bear them. They were being watched, hunted, and they knew it. Their hope, once a flickering flame, began to dwindle, threatened by the encroaching darkness. Section 4. The first scream. A blood-curdling scream shattered the oppressive silence of the jungle. The refugees froze, their blood turning to ice. The scream, filled with unimaginable terror, echoed through the trees, a chilling testament to an unseen horror. It was Jorge, his face contorted in a silent scream, who crumpled to the ground. His eyes, wide with fear, stared into the impenetrable darkness. His hand clutched at his throat, where thick black tendrils sank into his flesh, pulsing with an evil light. The tendrils, dripping with a viscous phosphorescent fluid, pulsed and throbbed, draining the life from him. The other refugees, paralyzed by fear, could only watch in horror as Jorge's body convulsed, his lifeblood staining the jungle floor. The jungle, no longer content with silent observation, had revealed its true nature. It was a place of death, where nightmares walked, and fear was the ultimate predator. Section 5. Whispers in the dark. "Demon," Paolo whispered, his voice hoarse with terror. "It's the demon of the jungle." He had heard the stories whispered around campfires, tales of an ancient evil that guarded the heart of the Amazon. An entity of pure darkness, fueled by fear and despair, its touch a promise of agonizing death. The others stared at him, their eyes wide with terror. The jungle, alive with unseen eyes, seemed to press closer, the air thick with anticipation. The scent of blood, metallic and sharp, hung heavy in the air, a macabre beacon in the darkness. They were no longer just refugees fleeing a war. They were prey, trapped in a nightmare. The rustling of leaves intensified, accompanied by a low growl that seemed to emanate from the very earth itself. The jungle was no longer hiding its hunger. It had tasted blood, and it craved more.